Hi, welcome back to Maths Masters. So today we're going to do a recap, a review of the previous learning, looking at the more than, greater than symbol, the less than symbol and the equal to symbol. So just to recap, some of the things we looked at: the language, more, less, equal to, greater than, fewer and less than. So we had here that 4 apples is greater than, more than 2 apples. 7 counters is more than 4 counters. 3 Lego people are smaller than 5 Lego people, or 3 is less than 5. And 3 sheep are equal to, or 3 is equal to 3 on the other side. Okay, so what we're going to look at today in terms of place value are tens and ones. Now, at this point, I hope you've watched the Introduction to Maths Masters and the Foundations in Counting to begin with. In the Introduction to Maths Masters, there are some materials, some resources you can download to use. There are base 10 pictures that you can use and cut out for base 10. We've got ones, tens, hundreds and thousands there for you to use. There are also, when we progress further on, there are some counters, ones, tens, there are decimal counters in there as well. I will print out for these 2 copies of each, so you've got at least 12 of each of the counters. Base 10 is very useful when we look at place value. Children will often start off with these. That represents, we're looking at the squares, and that represents 100 squares, so that's 100. Then we've got a 10 stick, we've got tens there, or we've got a cube, which is a 1. Okay. So in our number system, well, with numbers, if you've looked at the foundations for counting, the next thing I would suggest you do is practice counting numbers up to 20, up to 100. So counting, comparing the numbers, comparing sets of numbers, comparing them on a number line, and ordering the numbers as well, from the smallest to the largest. So putting them in order, or from the largest to the smallest, so ordering numbers as well, looking at their value in comparison and in relation to the other numbers. So when we're counting, when we get to 9, we have more than 9 ones. We then have to move a column along and it becomes a 10. So the position of the number in place value tells us its value. So if we've got 9 ones and we move then into the tens column, we put a 1 in the tens column, but we have to put a 0 in. Now 0 is really important when we think about 0. It's a very important number because it holds place. So when we have the number 10, we must put a 0 next to it to show we've got 0 ones, otherwise the number will just look like 1. So our number system works that we get 10 times bigger each time. So let's have a look first at the number 12. When we get above 10, numbers greater than 10 are made up of 110, a group of 110, and some more. So we're grouping numbers now. So here we've got 12. So 12 is made up of 110 and 2 more. And we can also see it here using base 10. We've got 1 10 stick and 2 ones that make 12. So we can say 12 is equal to 1 10 and 2 ones, because it's equal to 1 whole group of 10 and 2 ones. It's also 12 is equal to 12 ones as well. So we don't just have to see it as a 10 and ones. 12 is also equal to 12 separate ones as well. So what you can do is practice thinking about how you group numbers together in groups of 10. So you can do this by grouping cars, counters, cubes. Another great way of doing it is getting straws There'll be lots of paper straws around now, so get a pack of paper straws and you can group them into groups of 10, so bundles of 10, and then you can have some ones as well. So I could make this number with straws. I've got a group of 10 and I've got 2 ones as well to make that. If you are struggling with the teen numbers, once you're counting up to 20, there's a great resource that I've put in the description, which is from IC Maths, and it's a really good way of helping you to count using the teens numbers and looking at what those mean in the teens. So, one thing we can also do, if we don't have the base 10, we can just draw them as well. We could just draw 10s and 1s, and I'm using T and O to represent 10s and 1s, and you can just draw a 10 stick and a 1 cube as well, 2 cubes as well, to represent the number 12 as well. Okay. Now our number system works that it gets 10 times bigger each time. So if we look at the number 1, 1 when it gets 10 times bigger becomes 10. When 10 becomes 10 times bigger, it becomes 100. And when 100 becomes 10 times bigger, it becomes 1000. Okay, that's also the same, so say for the number 4. 4, when it gets 10 times bigger, it becomes 4 tens, 40. 40, when it gets 10 times bigger, becomes 400. And when 400 gets 10 times bigger, it becomes 4,000. Okay, so let's look at some more numbers and try breaking them into 10s and 1s and building 10s and 1s with them. So if we have the number 14, we can use a tens frame, or we can use base 10, and we can even use the Pothole Model as well. So we can make the number 13, 14. We can see that it's made up of a whole group of 10 and 4 ones. So we can say my number is 14. One part is 10. The other part is 4. The whole is 14. So if we look at that as a part-whole model, the whole is 14. We can say that it's made up of 10 and 4. We can also see that on the number frame, one part of it is 10, the other part of it is 4, and all together the whole makes 14. Also, if we use base 10, we can see it's made of 10 and 4, and we can see that it can be partitioned into 10 and to 4. So we can show it in 10s and 1s, or you can even draw it 10s and 1s, 1, 2, 1, 10 and 4 1s. Okay. We can also say my number is 14, it has 1, 10 and 4 ones. The whole is 14. Okay, so we have looked at the number 14. What I want you to do now is have a look at this number. So I'm going to make another number and you're going to write these two number sentences to describe the number. You can use straws, you can use base 10, you can use a tens frame, the Pothole model, however you wish to show the number. So this time, the number that you have is going to be 15. So if you've got the number 15, can you make the number 15 using base 10, using the tens frame, using the Pothole model? My number is, say what your number is. One part of it is, the other part is, the whole is. Can you write the number if you want to, using just a 10 stick and a little cube for 1? And then you can say my number is 15. It has how many tens and how many ones, the whole of it is, and say what the whole is. So pause that and have a go at that. Okay, so you should have had 15. We can break it into tens and ones by having 10 and 5. We can show that number using base 10 by having 3, 4, 5 of the ones and 1 10. We can have the tens frame. We've got one group of 10 and we've got 5 ones. We can use the straws as well. You can have a 10 straws and you can have 5 1 straws. So my number is 15. One part is 10, the other part is 15, the whole is 15. My number is 15. It has 1 10 and 5 ones, the whole is 15. Okay, try one more. This time we don't need this first sentence. We will use a different one. So, this one. I've got a 10 stick there, so that's not a 1, that's a 10 stick. And I have got 7 ones. What number can you make using that now? So look at the two parts. What is the whole going to be when you've got 1 10 and 7 ones? And then make it using base 10, using the straws, using the counters, using the little 10 sticks and the 1 drawings. Off you go. Okay, so we have 1 10 and 7 ones. So that's 7 and 10. So the whole is 17. The whole is 17. We can make that using base 10 by having 1 10, 5, 6, 7 ones. We can make it using the tens frame. We've got one whole group of 10 and then we've got 7 ones. And we can even do it with our 10 stick and our cubes, our dots that show ones. So the whole is 17. My number is 17. that. My number is 17, it has 1 10 and 7 ones. The whole is 17. Okay, so in the activity section, there's going to be some more practice on using the tens and ones, using the base 10 or the tens frame or the pothole model to break up different numbers into tens and ones. Okay, something I want you to have a go at now. How many ways, or can you think of 10 ways to make the numbers up to 20? So 10 ways to make the numbers up to 20. So using base 10. So this can actually be the physical base 10, some cubes, it could be the sticks, the cut out base 10, or it could be where you draw the stick and the cubes or dots to show the base 10. So can you think of 10 different ways to make the numbers up to 20 using base 10? Okay. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go. It might have taken you some time to use different ones. Some examples, you may have made 18, and you might have made 18 by having 1 10 and 8 ones. You might have made 17. You might have made 17 by having 1 10 and 7 ones. So all those different ways you could have had using the 10 sticks and the ones to make those numbers. So with our place value system, it's very useful to compare numbers by looking at how numbers relate to one another when they're placed together. So looking at the digits where they are placed together. So if we have the number 27, we have now got, in the number 27, we have got 2 10s, because the 2 is in the place value, it's in the tens column, and we have 7 ones. So the number 27 is made up of 2 10s and 7 ones. We can also say that 27 is equal to, it's made up of 27 ones. And if you look at it, we've got 7 ones there, and each of these 10s is made up of 10 ones. So we've got 10, 20, 7 ones. Okay. As our number system goes across, it gets 10 times bigger. It increases each time, as we looked at before. So we could have the number 342. So have a go, pause me. How would you make the number 342? Draw the base 10, use the base 10 cutouts, have a go at doing that using the base 10. Okay, so the number 342, you would just have 2 ones. You would also have 4 10s, because you have a 4 in the tens column that represents 40, or 4 10s. And you'd have 300s, because you've got 3 in the hundreds column, that represents 3 hundreds. Now I'll just have to overlap these on top of each other. I've not got a lot of space, so you've got 300 there. One thing to be careful of and to remember is the 0, the importance of 0. Because if we have the number 104, if we forget for the number 104, if we forget we've got nothing, we've got 0 in the tens column, we will end up writing the number 104 like that. And that's a common mistake to make. It looks like 14, but it's not, because 0 is holding that place of the tens, because there are no tens there. So we've got 100, no tens, and 4 ones. Daniel has made this mistake. He wants to write the number 15. He makes the number 15 using 5 ones and a 10. So he's got 1 10 and 5 ones, he's got 15. But he writes the number, I've got 10 and 5, and he writes the number like that. What has he done wrong? Okay, so what Daniel has done, he's written the 10 and he's written the 5, but we think of the place value because we have 10s and 1s, so we have 5 ones and a 10 being in this place here is in the 10s column. So we don't need to write the 0 in to say that it's a 10. We know it's a 10 because it's in the 10s column. So at this stage, it's really good whenever you write in 2-digit numbers to put the headings in with them as well, so you become familiar with knowing where the 10s and the 1s are. Okay, so next we looked at a 3-digit number, 1s, 10s and 100s. Now we can look at a number that goes into the thousands. So if we have the number 2,623, 2,623, how would we make that number using base 10? Have a go at that one. Okay, so you'd have 3 ones, you would have 2 10s, you would have, and I'm going to draw these just to save space on my whiteboard, you would have 6 of the hundreds. They'll look like this, and you would have 2 of the thousands. And you've got 2,000, sorry, you've not got 600, you've got 800, I hope you were correcting me there, 2,623. Again, we must make sure we're really careful with the 0. If we have the number 1,086, we must remember to put the 0 in there, otherwise the number looks like 186. But the number is in fact 1,000, so we've got to take account of the place value headings and use those. So use your place value headings and get practice in using those. Have a go at the activities in the activities section. Share them, Marvellous Maths Masters, #MathsMasters. There are some partitioning cards as well in there if they help you to break up numbers and see numbers. There's a link to that. Use the base 10, use counters, cubes, draw base 10. The base 10 little pictures are in the introduction to Maths Masters in the description there. So print those out to use those as well. And I'll see you back in the next session. Thank you, bye.